Hello, this is the Vikstrand, and yeah, summer took a little tumble off a cliff, I think. It makes me want to scream of frustration. Speaking of scream, let's talk about the 1996 classic. So Wes Craven had seen his career diminish over the course of the 1990s. He needed something new and something fresh. He also needed something that would revitalize not only his career, but also the slasher genre itself. He and fellow screenwriter Kevin Williams created Scream, a movie that was self-aware of the tropes that was plaguing the entirety of the slasher genre. The characters decided not to be dumb once they realized they were in a horror movie, and were trying to, fight the very cliches that got most idiots killed in previous movies. For me, I hate slasher movies. They are dumb, they are repetitive, they have all these dumb cliches and are populated by a bunch of people who are this smart. In all, horror movies is actually a bit of a tough sale for me. I don't like slashers, I don't like supernatural horror movies. I don't know which one of them I hate the most, but I dislike both of them evenly. So our story is about as basic as you can get. We have a small California town, we have a high school, and we have a killer wearing a mask, which looks like an Edward Munch painting, which by the way become an instant cultural phenomenon. It's a classic. So who is the killer? Why is he killing people? And has somebody took their love of slashers too far? The brilliant thing about having your characters roll with the punches and try to, be smarter than the average movie character in slasher movies is brilliant, because it puts us, the audience, in a more vulnerable position. That's the first thing this movie does that is great. This heightens up the tension a bit. Also, this movie contains a fair share of some of the greatest jump scares of all time. But the best of all is that this movie used one thing that no slasher movie had done up until that point, at least not to my knowledge. There is probably an exception to the rules, but you did not know who the killer was. I spent the majority of the time when I saw this movie the first time to figure out who is killing these people, who are behind the mask. My prime suspect was actually Dewey, the sheriff played by David Arquette. And if you've seen the movie, you know whether or not I was right or wrong in that guess. This movie is, however, fueled by its characters. We have great characters. Our main character, of course, played by Nick Campbell, Sidney Prescott, sort of moody teen that is recovering from, the murder of her mother 1 year earlier. Like the pearls on a necklace, we have just fantastic, nice characters which we care about, which is vital to us caring about the movie, because we don't want Tatum killed, we don't want Randy killed, we don't want Gail Weathers killed. Maybe we do want her killed, but nah, we don't want her killed. We don't want her cameraman killed either. The carefully crafted script never goes full campy, and it always reminds us that it is a horror movie, but it also takes pot shots at the dumb cliches that populate this genre. And it never forgets to be just as smarky as we can sit and say, oh yeah, I knew that one. Because the Easter eggs are dropping like bombs on this one. I can't get over that this is a movie in which they watch the movie Halloween. That is a thing I'm always bothered by in other horror movies. Don't movies exist in other movies? Don't they have movies in movies? Because, they obviously we have proof of that from other movies, but here at least it is acknowledged. They're watching a genre movie, but they're not being quite scared by it. They're more of whoa when Michael Myers are dispatching his victims. When that happened in the movie, I went, yes, finally. There are so many callbacks to Wes Craven's filmology. There are so many hints at other of the genre's classics, and that is what makes this movie great, because it is a perfect mix of both. It's never too much of either things, and to be frank, the beginning with Drew Barrymore's Casey character is great, just amazing. Maybe the greatest opening in a horror movie that I've seen, apart from Shining, of course. You could make an argument that the movie is a little bit too long and it could have used some trimming, and you could always have used more Randy. To be frank, you should always have more Randy. Why don't you have more Randy, Wes? This became, of course, a box office smash hit, and it took back Wes Craven to the top again, and it also revitalized the horror genre. Or did it really do that? But there was a downside to this, of course. Now, the year after this one was released, I Know What You Did Last Summer came out, and it was bad. It was terrible. Written by Kevin Williamson. This movie forgot that Scream existed, or at least tried to forget that it existed, and instead tried to amp for the classical cliches, and it made the movie look super dumb. People went and saw it anyway, so 2 years later they made Urban Legend, who was almost as bad. Jesus Christ. I hated them, most other people hated them, critics hate them, but people went and saw them anyway because people are stupid. When you apply the same kind of tactics as Scream, but you forgot the self-awareness, it just seems dumb. On the other side of the spectrum, some movies went a bit further on the other side of the scale. The Chucky movies comes into mind, which went on full campy mode, but in that case I think they made the right decision, because I always felt that the Chucky movies was too silly to be taken seriously, and making it into a camp fest of self-awareness was actually the right thing to do. Now, this is an absolute 90s classic. It has great characters, it has great suspense, it has some of the best jump scares I've seen, it has pretty good pacing, and it is a horror movie that knows it is a horror movie but doesn't forget that it is a horror movie. It's difficult really to know how you could have done it better. Maybe a bit of trimming could have been applied, but I don't know. This is still a pretty awesome movie. You will scream and you will scream and you will scream once again, because 83 is the rating this movie is going to get. As horror movie goes, this is a great rating for a genre I personally don't have that much love to. Congratulations, Screams, you are good. Only time will tell whether or not we will have summer back anytime soon. I sure hope so. I'm going on vacation now. Vacation! This is the Wikstrand signing out.